sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand spanking new episode of Cap and Crown, aka Members Only. I'd like to thank y'all, man. It's our way of showing thanks to you guys for showing love to the channel in that special way. Definitely appreciate y'all, man. This is the first time in a while, man. We actually had the open members only show. But we doing that for a reason. Very important reason. I think my jersey kind of gave it away. But listen, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. If you are new to the channel, into NBA content, do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, guys. Join us here for all NBA conversations, whether it be new or old. And also, too, everybody, please, pretty please, hit them likes for us tonight, man. Been doing pretty well on them likes. We definitely would appreciate it if y'all continue that by helping us build that algorithm up, man, to find more NBA fans like yourselves. Listen, got a good one for y'all. Special guest in the building. So we definitely gonna get into it. But before we do that, y'all, we also need y'all to do us a huge favor. Follow us on our other channel, Cap and Crown Clips, where we post all the short versions of the show on that channel. We're still trying to grow that channel. Also, so we'll definitely use your help with that. But before we bring up our guest, King, we gotta show some love to the sponsor of the channel, man.
This I Was Told segment is brought to you by the folks over at FANATICS. FANATICS is the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love the most, including WWE. You can earn fan cash to redeem them in your orders, jersey protection for when your favorite player is traded or changes teams. They also have an unrivaled selection of authentic fan gear and Fanatics exclusives that are only available on the site. So if you need some merch and are interested in helping the channel, scan the QR code on the screen or follow the link, which is always in the description.
All right, King, let's go ahead and bring up our guest. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Special guest, dime dropper in the building of Locked On Clippers, man. Welcome, man. Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you for having me on.
Yes,
No
sir,
problem.
man. Look like it's been a long time coming, but we definitely glad that you're here on the show with us, man. Talk a little bit of NBA and probably some Clippers too. I see you got your little background there, Dom. I want to ask you this real quick question, man. Has the whole like nuance of the new stadium kind of worn off yet? Are you used to it now, or is it still kind of like a whole awe to y'all when y'all go to the stadium?
I'd say a little bit of both. It's still very surreal, just having a new arena, having our own place. But I'd say towards the end of last season, it started really feeling like home, and now it feels regular. But, you still want to keep perspective and remember where we came from and how special it really is to have, in my opinion, the best arena in the NBA. I mean, it's the newest arena, and it was built for basketball, so you can't really top that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dom, I have a quick question for you. Get right to the point. Is this Clippers team the best Clippers team ever? Or
of all time, Dom,
of all time, or because maybe of age and situations like that, maybe it's a little bit too late to say that. But how do you feel about that?
Well, it might be the most balanced and deepest, but I don't know if I'm as confident going into the season as I was going into the 2020 season or the 2019 season. So I don't know if I can say yes yet. I mean, right now, 2021 has, in my opinion, the title because we made it to the conference finals. I don't know about this team being better than that team, but on paper, you can honestly make the argument. But I don't know. I feel like it's got to be decided during the season, of course. But if I had to say now, I would say the age makes me say no, just by a little bit.
Okay.
So other than the age, what other kind of question marks do you have about the team?
Oh, well, can Kawhi Leonard's body last not just the regular season, but also 4 playoff series in a row?
Right.
Last year we were finally able to see him get through 1 series. And, there still were some question marks. He played pretty well, but we want Kawhi Leonard averaging closer to 30 points. We want him shooting more shots. I feel like not having played more than half the season, it didn't let him really get into his most aggressive mode. We saw game 2, he went off, but there were other games where he shot like 17 or less shots, maybe 16 or less shots. We definitely want him to be a little bit more aggressive off and on ball to try to get more shots. And then there's the James Harden conversation about you know, will he be able to perform at the highest level when it comes to championships? We all know that he can do great things in the regular season. He can give you some great games in a playoff series, but will he make the big plays and have the big games that will get you to an actual championship conversation again? Harden hasn't been to the conference finals since 2019. It's been a little while now.
Yeah.
So those are the biggest questions. I actually think our supporting cast is pretty good. I don't really have doubts about those other guys. I think they're going to be really good in their role. My biggest doubts actually come from our best players. If we're talking about a championship, if we're talking about being good, I think we'll be very good.
I agree.
It's funny you said that, because I said that too when we had our show. We was talking about the Clippers and what the additions y'all added. And I think King kind of said that same thing. He was like, it's not the question of the guys around them, it's the two guys.
Yeah.
Because I know our biggest question has always been, like you said, James Harden is like, he can have those moments, but it's like those key moments we need you to show up. He just don't show up,
Yeah.
So,
and especially with Kawhi Leonard being in and out of the lineup. If Kawhi Leonard was, Kawhi Leonard, like we saw against the Mavericks and all before, like that, he can make up for James Harden, sometimes not being there. But if you have a suspect Kawhi Leonard at times, I feel like maybe that's a little bit too much on James Harden's shoulders at times. But let me go to, you said the team you think, the supporting cast and all is great. Ty Lue, what are your feelings on Ty Lue, Dom? Myself and Relle.
Great question.
Yeah, we're actually big fans of Ty Lue, but I know I've heard rumblings of maybe he's past his prime or whatever already. How do you feel about Ty Lue?
Well, it's interesting because it seems like every single fan base, at least on social media, wants their coach fired. And Ty's not perfect, but I think he's damn good. He's not perfect. He sometimes can lean into, in my opinion, too guard heavy of lineups. And in previous years before this one, a lot of offense over, defense, kind of like that kind of approach, more like an offense first mindset. And I'm a very defense first guy, but I think Ty's a good coach. I think there were some things that he could have done a little bit better in the Denver series, but I would never put the series on a coach over the players. I think we're in good hands with Ty overall. He's one of the more well-respected coaches in the league, and ultimately the players seem to buy in with him, and he gets the most out of the majority of players we have. We made it to the conference finals in our first year with Ty Lue. So for me, he's only had one bad year in his 5 years as Clipper coach, and that was during the 2022-23 season. But this year's going to be a huge test for him because he's got a lot of talent to work with. He's got 11 guys that all think they should be playing probably. So it's going to be very difficult for him and the coaching staff to manage that. And if it doesn't get managed well, it's going to look bad on Ty because the front office went out and got him a really good roster. So I'm hoping the best for Ty. I'm a fan of his. But there's definitely some Clipper fans that want him gone and all this stuff. But in my opinion, when you really break down the layers with those fans, they're always either one, very unfair with their criticism, or two, they just don't want to blame players enough. Almost those two reasons are always the reasons why people are super anti-Ty Lue. I heard some people say we should go out and get Michael Malone and this and that, and insulting our offense, saying that we don't move without the ball enough or we don't move the ball enough. And it's like, I try to tell them, when you have Kawhi Leonard and James Harden on your team, do you really think you're going to be like a ball movement team, like a team that cuts all the time and moves without the ball? Like the NBA, they kind of just cater around what their personnel is, the players. It's not like college where every coach is going to make you run their system. And if you don't, answer, you know what I mean? It's not how it's going to be. So we're not going to be a movement team to me with Kawhi and James Harden. And that's just how it is. So people got to live and die with what we've got as the roster.
It's crazy you said that because I said that before on the show a while back. Because people have this idea there's a certain formula you got to stick to win championships, and you can name different type of aspects and stuff that people, each team in the last 5 years have done to win championships. They're not all the same, and it's always you base it off of the players that you have on your team, not the other way around. You don't take those players, try to fit them into your system. We've seen that happen before, and it don't go too well, right? So you build your system according to the players that you have on your team. I've been saying that for years, but a lot of people feel like because this one team did it, then that's how everybody needs to do it. That's not what everybody's built for. But
you're behind the 8 ball. I feel like when you think that way, you're behind the 8 ball because usually most teams don't follow another team's formula. It's a different philosophy for each team, and if you're trying to copy another team, then you're behind them. But that's just the way I think.
Yeah. Now I was gonna ask you this. We were sitting there trying to guess too. What is the starting lineup in your opinion gonna look like this year?
Yeah, the starting lineup is going to be James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Ivica
John Collins.
Zubats.
Okay, so it is John Collins. I'm trying to remember what they had the starting lineup on that one mock lineup we saw.
I
I
think it
don't think it
was
was John.
same. I don't think Collins was on there. They
Yeah,
had
Collins wouldn't
someone
start.
else.
It was who was I can't, but they had Kawhi at the 4.
They
Yeah,
had,
they did probably, but John Collins was brought in so Kawhi doesn't have to play the 4.
yeah,
So, and he's
yeah,
making, I think, $26 million. So I
yeah,
don't think John Collins will be
yeah.
coming off the bench. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, I think I more agree with you on that one. With that pickup, man, what do you think about that John Collins pickup? I told King, I think that's a solid pickup, man. A lot of people not talking about that pickup.
Yeah, I think it's really good because, you know, people have said that Kawhi Leonard needs to guard the 3 again and not be dealing with guys like Aaron Gordon, who caused us a lot of problems in that playoff series. And we have another guy that can, an athletic guy that can help out Zubats around the rim and then also stretch the floor and give us a little bit more youth. I mean, he's not young, but considering how old our team is, he's under 30 years
Right.
old. That's fairly young. So John Collins is going to help Kawhi Leonard and give us bigger lineups to work with, honestly. And if we want to go small, he can even play as a small ball 5. So I think it gives us a lot of versatility. And we've lacked athleticism, and John Collins brings that. So I think it's a really big opportunity for John to kind of be what Aaron Gordon ended up being for Denver. Of course, I'm not going to say he's that good, but that missing big forward that they needed. And you saw what PJ Washington did for the Dallas Mavericks.
Right.
Hopefully John Collins can be that player for us. So I'm excited about him, actually. A lot of Clipper fans are excited about him because we've toyed around with, having him in mock trades for so long to come to the Clippers and relieve Kawhi Leonard of playing the 4. I know it's not the same as playing the power forward position, back in the 2000s or the early 2010s. We had those really skilled, good post-up power forwards.
Mhm.
It's more of like a small ball league where you play bigger small forwards at the 4 and just stretch the floor. But John Collins can do a little bit of that. He can hit threes and he can catch lobs. So might have some nice lobs with James Harden this season.
I was just about to say now he gives him another lob threat along with DJ Derrick Jones Jr. So
Yeah. And he's already great in the pick and roll with Zubat. But do you worry at all about your defense this year with this type of lineup? And looking at that lineup, if you go with the lineup you presented, Kawhi Leonard is, you feel me, the best defender, and that's at this point in his career. Do you really want him being the best defender on your team? Like
that's been a huge topic of conversation. I'm not a huge fan of that starting lineup only because of what you just said, right? I think every serious team in the NBA starts one guy that can go out and guard the opposing team's best player and does it at a high level, or 2. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's Lou Dort that guards the best player, and then you have Caruso. I'm sorry, not Caruso. Jalen Williams. You also have Caruso and Case and Wallace coming off the bench. For the Pacers, you have Aaron Nesmith. You saw what difference he made when he came back from injury. So the key to the Clippers being 3rd in the league in defensive rating last year was having Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. play so many minutes. And in that starting lineup that we mentioned, you're going to ask not Kawhi Leonard to guard the best player because of what you said. They're not going to do it, I don't think. It's going to be Bradley Beal guarding the best player. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Not because I think Beal's a bad defender, but I don't think he's particularly good. He's, I think, at best average or maybe slightly above average, as opposed to Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones Jr., who are elite. So if I had it my way, I would actually start one of them and have Beal be a 6th man of the year candidate because I think he could easily be that. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So the question is, are we going to have enough defensive resistance in the beginning of games to be okay? I mean, we'll have definitely a lot of offense, but are we relying on kind of just outscoring the opposition early in the game before Derrick and Chris Dunn check in? Or are we going to get torched by an opposing guard to start a game? I think that'll be definitely something to watch because, Bradley Beal guarding the opposing team's best player is definitely not the same as Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones Jr. guarding the best player to start a game.
Yeah, because if let's just say that is a star lineup you just named off, that might put the defense, the backups on the bench in a hole because most of your defensive guys are off the bench, so they're gonna have to try to bear down and try to guard teams and stuff like that to get the offense back into a flow for the offense to get back in when they come off the bench. So because Y'all still got Dunn, right? Chris Dunn still on there.
Yep.
So yeah, so you got Dunn, you got DJJ. Who else?
Then
Batum can guard some.
yeah, that's who was in the lineup though. The one that we saw before, it was DJJ, I think, that was in the starting lineup, and Kawhi Leonard was playing the 4.
It might have been. I
It
thought
was,
just
yeah.
off the bench. Okay, but now we can say it. Okay.
Oh, my question is, man, I had a good one. I forgot that quick, bro. So I'll I guess shift Zubat. Myself and Rel, I guess we're both big fans of Zubat. Like, I think Zubat is a top 10 center in the NBA at this point. How do you feel about Zubat? And did you see this from Zubat? You know, from when you guys first got him, did you think he'd be this good?
No, definitely not. He is awesome. I would even go as far as to say last season he was a top 5 center.
Yeah.
He is. I don't really have enough good words to say about the guy. I mean, he's improved every single year, which is what you want to see from a player that you get young.
Right.
He has improved defensively each and every year. He's improved offensively each and every year. This year being the biggest jump of all. I think Harden has helped him a lot with just giving him easier baskets in the pick and roll, but he's also improved on his own game. You know, he used to only be able to have a right-hand jump hook. Now he's got jump hooks with both hands, which, you know, in the NBA today, you just don't have many guys that do that. You know, it reminds me of Pau Gasol, because I used to watch him on local television all the time, and he had jump hooks with both hands. Not saying he's nearly as good of an offensive player or a player as Pau, but he has ascended every year. He, you know, after having DeAndre Jordan for so many years, who was a complete opposite, total athlete,
Right.
but could not finish a floater or jump hook to save his life. Ivica Zubac is a guy you can dump it down to, and he can go get a bucket. And this year, you started to see teams actually double teaming him, and him dealing with those double teams a lot better than in years past. So, I mean, he even got a triple double late in the season. So, you know, this guy is amazing. I think I would have predicted him to be an all-star this upcoming year if we hadn't gone out and gotten all these guys. Now I feel like he just won't have the stats, but he's definitely an all-star caliber player. And when you put good perimeter defenders around him, like we did last season, you can see how his defensive impact can look even better. He made all defensive second team. And that a lot of it is not just his improvement, but having Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. make him look better, make him so that he doesn't have to guard 2 people at once, you know, guarding the pick and roll sometimes. So Zoo's been awesome. And, you know, more than anything, just what people within the organization say about him. You know, no one in the 6.5 years that Zoo's been a Clipper I've ever heard anything bad about him. No media members, no teammates, no fans. I mean, the guy is just everything you'd want in a player on your team. So, you know, salute to Zoo. He was, as of last year, he was my favorite Clipper on the team. So
yeah,
proud of him.
Zoo's nice.
Bro, y'all got a backup now, man. Somebody
Hell yeah.
a competent backup now. And Brook Lopez, like, what do you see his role for the team, man? Because I mean, he's up there with 37 now, maybe 36, somewhere around there. What do you see his role, and what do you see his minutes looking like?
Brook Lopez, man. I mean, it's crazy. You know, I used to love Brook Lopez when he was in Brooklyn because, you know, as an LA kid, we don't really watch, like, the Nets weren't the talk of the town by any means back in, you know, 2012, 13. But me being a huge Darren Williams fan, I was really excited about the Brooklyn Nets that first year they went to Brooklyn. Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Brook Lopez. That was a fun starting lineup. And Brook Lopez, to me, was the most underrated center in the NBA. I thought he was the most underrated player in the NBA at the time. I used to argue for him at school. So it's just so funny. You know, we have Brook Lopez on our team now. And I think his role is very clear. He's the backup for Ivica Zubac, the backup that we didn't have last year. And that was very valuable. Very important to address in the offseason, because last year our backup for him was Mo Bamba, and then we made a trade for Drew Eubanks. These are not NBA backup centers on good teams, not to be disrespectful.
We understand.
Yeah, Brook Lopez has never come off the bench in his entire career. I don't know if he's ever come off the bench in his life. So, I mean, I have to go back to Stanford, but the guy, I don't know if he'll play with Zubac. So if he's not playing, if he's only playing non-Zoo minutes, I'd say about 15, 16 minutes a game. That's his role. Come in, be another guy that can protect the rim, and very simply floaters in pick and roll, and pick and pop threes. The Clippers have not had a pick and pop big man since Serge Ibaka, and that was very short-lived because he had back injuries the second he came.
Oh,
So
man.
we legitimately have not had a pick and pop big in quite some time. And I think that's going to make life very easy for pick and roll ball handlers. And I mean, we have a very solid center rotation, 2 legit 7-footers, 2 solid rim protectors, 2 starting level centers. One can pick and roll at a high level, one can pick and pop at a high level. They both, you can dump it down to and get him a buck or ask them to go get you a bucket. Although Brook Lopez not as much these days, but we'll see. I think if he gets smaller guys switched on to him, he can still go in the post if he's aggressive enough. We'll see if he's aggressive enough, but I'm ecstatic to have Brook Lopez on this team. It's actually one of the more exciting pickups I think we've made. And also because I have a personal connection with Brook Lopez going back to my days as just being a fan of his. And then, got to speak to him a little bit at Summer League. And that was kind of a dream come true to meet Brook Lopez and kind of tell him what I just told you guys. Like, yo, I used to really back you up when I was a kid. Like, and, he claimed he's still the most underrated player in the NBA. So excited to have Brook Lopez. I think we're going to get some great quotes post game and stuff like that throughout the season with him.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You don't have to, not in order, but who are the top 6 teams in the Western Conference this year? But my follow-up question, you have to give me an order for this one. Between the Lakers and the Clippers, which team is the best this year?
I think. Well, do you want me to give you the order first, or
either order?
Yeah, either
well,
one.
I think we're better than the Lakers. I think, no disrespect, but I just think our team makes a little more sense in the sense that I think LeBron and Luka is great. I don't necessarily think they mesh together insanely well. I think it can feel very your turn, my turn between him, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka. I think their perimeter point of attack defense is going to be a question. I like the pickup of Marcus Smart, but he's been really banged up the last couple of years. So I'm interested to see how much he's got left in the tank to have this big of a role on a good team. Other than that, I don't love their depth. They don't have a real replace. Actually, no, Jackson Hayes can be DeAndre Ayton's backup. I don't love the makeup of their team, but I think they're still going to be solid. I think the Clippers are just better. I think we just have a better 1 through 11. I think our roster makes more sense. We legitimately have like a big 4 kind of with Beal, Zoo, Harden, and Kawhi. Our defense has better personnel. So I think we're better than the Lakers. As far as the top 6 teams, I would definitely say the Thunder, obviously the number 1. I would say the Denver Nuggets. I'd still say the Minnesota Timberwolves. Us, the Houston Rockets. And then I would go with probably the Lakers.
Okay.
I would say the Lakers only because I'm not super sold on New Memphis post Desmond Bane. I'm not super sold on the Warriors at all. They haven't really done anything this offseason that I can think of.
Nothing.
I'm not sold on. I think there's one other team I'm forgetting. Oh, the Mavericks.
Mavericks. I said Mavericks, yeah.
I would say the Mavericks, if Kyrie Irving was healthy, I would be a little higher on them. But I would say they're probably
I agree with him on that.
I'd say right now they're headed for play-in range, especially with the availability of Anthony Davis or lack of it. That makes me very nervous. And then there's a team that's going to be really fun this year that I'm interested to see. I don't think they'll be top 6.
Spurs.
They could be. It's the Spurs.
I knew you gonna say that.
I think very interesting team over there in San Antonio. And I think I basically just named them all that made the playoffs last year. Yeah. So, I think that's my top 6. I wouldn't throw the Lakers in there. I know a lot of people haven't been as high on them, but they still have LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and DeAndre Ayton, who I think is going to be a big improvement for them, even despite the criticism that he gets at times.
I agree.
Man, but listen, I know you said something about the depth and the bench and all that. This is why I've been on champion. If you're not going to trade him, I've been championing for them to put Austin Reeves on the bench. He needs to be the 6th man, like you said, because that also helps with the ball movement. Because, like you said, you already got LeBron and Luka, who are more ball dominant. You don't need a third ball dominant player out there. Have him come off the bench and command the second unit. But I think
don't want to hear that.
People don't want to hear that, but I guess they're gonna still try to start him this year or whatever. So, but
plus, I think he's in a contract year, right?
Yes, I believe so.
think so.
So
So
he,
yeah,
he was due for he was due for a contract extension. I never
yeah.
heard anything else about it. So no, I agree with you, Don, on that one, man. You want to ask about Chris Paul, King?
Oh no, you cannot. Um, I guess I can now. We haven't even talked about Chris Paul. I guess the whole show so far. You guys got him back. He coming back to end his career there. Do you think I kind of heard you talk about this on your show? Do you
Mm-hmm.
think Chris Paul is the greatest Clipper of all time, or where are you going with that?
It's either
Is
him
he
or
on the
Blake.
Mount Rushmore?
Oh, it's him or Blake Griffin.
Okay.
For sure. For sure.
What about
Chris
Michael
Paul.
McKendy?
Oh man. Candyman. Chris Paul. I mean, it's insane to have him back. You know, he really built this all, before him. The Clippers, like before we got Chris Paul, like nobody cared. Like in LA, like
Mhm.
I would tell people I'm a Clipper fan, people would just laugh. Like, why? Why would you support them? They're trash. Now it's like Laker fans actually give us the time of day. They give us the attention, and for better or for worse. But that's all because of guys like Chris Paul. I mean, he changed everything. So for me, it's between him and Blake Griffin. I would give Blake the edge just because of more years right now and because he never wanted to leave. I think that's important that he never wanted to leave. But Chris Paul was my favorite Clipper when they were on the team because I was point guard growing up. So I used to, look up to him. And I would have never thought in a million years that Chris would outlast Blake Griffin in his career.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. A testament to his longevity, even with all the injuries Chris Paul has had. Like, I remember when we got him, I was in 8th grade and my teacher was from Maine, my history teacher. He was a Celtics fan. And I said, yo, Mr. Fulling, we got Chris Paul. Like, we're about to be nice now. Like, you're not the only one that supports a good team. And he said, you got a guy with bad knees and you think you're going to win the chip now?
Mhm.
And he said that because he was coming off knee surgery in 2010.
Mhm.
In 2011. And now here we are doing a podcast in 2025. And
Yep.
Chris Paul is still playing. And he's had so many injuries even after that comment. I mean, it goes to show modern surgeries are amazing. And Chris Paul
Yep.
has worked really hard, has somehow done it where he stayed alive. All his peers, Raymond Felton, Darren Williams, these guys have retired and he's still going. So, I mean, I'm happy for Chris and even happier that he gets to finish his career where he belongs during with the franchise that he essentially elevated into new heights. And now he gets to play in a new stadium that he and Blake Griffin kind of gave Clipper fans a vision that they can, fill their own stadium.
Bro, let me have I got a follow up comment and question real quick.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
My comment is if you guys would have had Blake Griffin, the Detroit Blake Griffin, that first year in Detroit, oh my god! For some reason, when he was able to be himself, I guess away and I felt like Blake Griffin that year was just doing everything, and that's one of the most underrated years that people don't talk about. But my question to you is, when they were together, who did you really see as the number one in your opinion? Who was your number one?
That's a great question, right? I feel like in 2013, the first 2 years, easily Chris Paul. And then the 2013-14 season was when Blake was an MVP race, third in the MVP race. But that was mainly because Chris Paul missed 14 games.
Yeah.
I still felt like in the playoffs, we lived and died with Chris Paul. I still thought that he was the guy that, the games were decided by.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in 2015, both of them were incredible. But Chris Paul is the one that closed out that series against the Spurs.
Yep.
And then in the second round, it was, if you look back at that game 6, I think Blake was like 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter and played horribly. Like Chris wasn't great, but he still was the only one that could get points on the board. And it kind of made me think like, man, our best scorer when push comes to shove is a 6-foot pass first guard.
Yep.
We're not a championship team because we're going up against Kevin Durant's and James Harden's. And, we're just always going to have an inferior number one. So we have to have a better team in all the other aspects. And I think like we did to some degree, but we'd have to go through a deep dive of that. But for me, it was always Chris Paul. 2015-16, Blake Griffin gets hurt again, punches the trainer, misses more games. Chris Paul has to carry us and drags us to the 4th seed. Then the following year, Blake Griffin hurts his toe against the Jazz, and Chris Paul drags us to a game 7. So for me, it was always CP3. And I think that's part of the reason why Lob City maybe didn't take that next step is because Blake, as good as he got, he never really separated himself from Chris Paul. Some people think Chris Paul stunted his development. You could maybe make an argument that Blake Griffin could have been more of a point forward, for more reps and even more involved. But my argument to that would be this, whether that's true or not, and that might be true, because Chris Paul is so ball dominant. He's very much a controlling player. Is a team, even with peak Blake Griffin, going past the first round? Maybe. It's very hard. I think we do, rings. I'm a rings guy. Like, I'm gonna be able to say, like, I value rings, but I will say this: just taking your team to the conference finals as a number one option, clear cut in the NBA at any era, it's very difficult to do, and very special players have to take you there. You got a lot of players that can say they've never done that. Really great players like Chris Paul, like Westbrook, like McGrady, that just never were able to do it, to take their team past the second round. Some guys have done it once, and there's other guys like a James Harden who, he gets a lot of criticism, and we've criticized him in this podcast about his playoff stuff. He's led his team to the conference finals twice, 2019 and 2015, and that's an impressive feat to do that. So, it's
you said Joel Embiid.
He's never done it. Yeah, he's never done it. So
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry, Joel.
I ain't gonna lie, John. I thought Don was gonna mention Joel Embiid, but no.
I should have.
Yeah, I know, right? Now I'm just gonna ask you about about Chris Paul. I don't know if you heard the comments made by Kendrick Perkins a couple of days ago. Want to get your opinion on that, man. So he says that Chris Paul is top 15. He's not top 10 or top 5. What's your opinion on where Chris Paul ranks amongst the greatest point guards of all time?
So, see, that's a good question, because the all-time conversations are so, like, overdone to me, in a sense that how much is everybody putting in the work to see all these players? You know what I mean? For example, I'm turning 27 tomorrow. So that gives you an idea of how young I am, right? So, like, until I sit down and watch at least a couple of series of John Stockton play, of Gary Payton in his prime play, it's impossible for me to give an accurate list, because at the end of the day, I can look up the stats, I can look up the accomplishments, but what does it come down to, fellas? Like, at the end of the day, watching guys play basketball, like, unless you're like the untrained eye and you like never hooped before or anything like that, like, we got to be able to watch guys play basketball. And when you're talking about Chris Paul versus Nash or Jason Kidd, I feel like you're splitting hairs at that point. Like, it's not clear cut for me. So you got to go out and do the research. Now, I'll tell you who I think are for sure, like, in a different tier than Chris Paul. So I think he could be top 10. I didn't get so mad about it because there's a lot of good point guards in history. And I know I'm like pro Chris Paul as a Clipper, but when it comes to comparing him to the upper echelon of greats, like, look, there are reasons why CP3 hasn't won a ring. Some of it's bad luck, some of it's him. But I think, any point guard list starts and ends with Magic. To me, he's the greatest. In terms of LA, he changed everything. In basketball, he changed everything. So I'm going to go with Magic. I think if you consider Stephen Curry a point guard, then I think Steph has to belong there as well. And I think by that same coin, if you think Steph belongs there as well, I think Jerry West, Oscar Robertson have to belong there. I've watched every game of theirs that exists from the first 10, 11 years of their career. There's very limited footage, but there's enough for me to understand just how good they were. So there's no way I would take Chris Paul over Oscar Robertson. Like, we're talking about a 6'5", like 220-pound, like, doesn't need a screen to just pull over dudes. Like, Oscar Robertson is amazing. And the footage that I've seen, it backs up everything people have said about him. And the resume speaks for itself. He's a beast. Jerry West definitely is better as well. 6'5" with crazy bounce, like, for his time. Like, his pull-up is ridiculous, and he plays great defense. And he got unlucky with the titles with playing against Boston all the time. So I would go with those four. And then Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas. He's underrated by my generation. I haven't seen him play enough, but there's just no world in which I would take any point guard that didn't lead their team to a championship over Isaiah. I know. See, that's why, going back to I prioritize rings. First of all, it's not just the rings, though. Like, when you look at Isaiah Thomas eye test wise, his handle's on another level. He, like, I think just was somebody who really had kids look up to him in terms of dribbling the basketball. Like, he is one of the great ball handlers to ever play. He led a team that won back-to-back rings against really great competition in the really good 80s East. And he beat some of the best players to ever do it en route to do so. And he did it in an era where it was a big man era. Little guards weren't taking their teams to a title. So to me, he's one of the most amazing of all time. And then, so that would probably be my top 5. I don't know the order. And then a guy I think is like the most left out of these discussions. And I'm only saying this because I've watched his games. And I would say I've seen every game of the first 4 years of his career. Clyde Frazier from the Knicks. He gets zero love. I'll tell you one thing about Clyde that's very impressive to me is that there are only a couple guys that were point guards that like led their team to the chip, and they were like the clear-cut guy. Like I think in the 04 Pistons, I love Billups, but I think you can debate, if they even had a true number one option. Same with like the Spurs, Tony Parker some years was insane, but I would think, you can always argue Duncan was the best. But the best clear-cut guys, like the point guards that have led their teams to titles, I mean, SGA this past year, Magic, of course, Isaiah. Oscar didn't even do it. So I can't even put him in there. And then Steph Curry, and then it's Clyde Frazier in 1973. Sadly, he didn't win the Finals MVP, but he should have at least won one. And then in that 1970, that Willis Reed game, the one that Willis comes out of the tunnel, Frazier's the one that had 36 and like 19.
Yep.
And then with the eye test with Clyde, I think he gives you a lot of what Chris Paul doesn't give, which is huge shots in late games in the playoffs and later rounds. He's a lot taller. Like, not what I'd say a lot, but 3 to 4 inches makes a difference. And when you don't need a screen, you can just pull up over dudes like on a dime. That's big time to close games. I think Clyde's a better defender than him, and he won for a reason. For me, Clyde Frazier is in that conversation for me. And then after that, we can argue Chris Paul. So to answer your question, if I give a long, drawn-out answer, I don't know. One day I'll have a list, and I'll tell you, I think Chris Paul will be in my list, but I'm not going to just be all outraged about it because I do respect the greats. I think most kids my age would never say Clyde Frazier is better than Chris. But I swear to you, if you watch Clyde Frazier in his prime, it's just his prime was not as long. But at his best ability, I think I would take Clyde for sure. I just think, you led your team to a championship as the best player. You can stop on a dime and pull going both ways. You're a great defender. You can guard the best player. Like, you're not asking Chris Paul to do all this. I think Clyde is just the most underrated. Like, he just doesn't get enough love at all because he's played in the 70s. And the 70s guys, they get killed, just because the era wasn't popularized and all that. But I'm happy to give up Frazier some love on a podcast because I just don't think he gets enough. And he's still in the league. He's still alive. He's still doing commentary for the Knicks.
Yeah, that's how you doing commentary.
Celebrate him while he's here, man. That guy was special. He was one of the first player I've seen hitting behind the backs, like into pull-ups. Like, you know what I mean? Back in the day, that was frowned upon, and you were seen as a globetrotter, and they would get very disrespectful with guys trying to showboat like that. But Clyde does a lot of great things on the court, so I think he got away with it.
It was crazy. It's crazy. He said that. I just thought about that. The 70s do get overlooked.
The 70s, the overlooked era.
Exactly. Like, whenever we start talking about the NBA, we always start in the 80s because when Magic and Bird took over. Yeah, every time they just mentioned
it was pre-merger.
Yeah,
nobody cares because the ABA was going on. The ABA was kind of considered the better league.
Better one, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why the NBA gets looked over. But yeah, top 15. I say top 15, Dom. I'm gonna go top 15.
You wouldn't even put him in your top 10?
Maybe we had on the last show. We said that maybe I could argue for him being at 10, but I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next year, so I can't put him above. I can't put him above Nash.
Okay,
for me, I can't put him above Jason Kidd because those years where Jason Kidd went to the finals with the Nets, like, he changed that whole franchise completely, and he went against Shaq and Kobe, and then against Duncan and David Robinson and all them. So I can't give him over them. Who else was it? Gary Payton was him and Sean Kemp. You talk about Lob City before Lob City.
Oh man,
Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, they were Lob City. So, and I think they got further. You feel me? They were kind of the better version to me, and defensively as well. And he got a defensive player of the year, Gary Payton. So that's my thing with Gary Payton. And I think the last one that you didn't have in the list, you said, was John Stockton. John Stockton, all-time assist leader, all-time steals leader, playoffs, I think, every year of his, 19-year career. I think he had
I think he missed a total of
Also,
5 games his whole entire
yeah,
career, something like
and
that.
he also made it to the finals twice as at least the second option. You feel what I'm saying? So that resume and that long-term pedigree is why I have John Stockton. But like it's point guards, man. It's all time. Like Chris Paul is an all time. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. It's just he has some
Top
bad luck. We
75.
talked about that on another show as well. Like it's just bad luck, but at the end of your career, no one cares about the bad luck. You feel me? So
Yeah.
it's tough times, and that's why, like I say, he'll probably be right outside my top 10, but like he's not far. He's right, like I say, between 10 and 15, probably.
I
In my
think
opinion.
I think at the end of the day, though, when it comes to the all-time list, people just get so worked up and have such biases. I'm literally like I praise Chris Paul. Like I've spoken. If you watch my content recently, you've seen
Yeah.
how stoked I am to have Chris Paul back. But when it comes to the all-time conversation, there's a lot of great players that have played this game. I have a
Yeah.
lot of respect for the greats that have played this game, and I think that until I watch, I won't be able to get a clear-cut opinion. But the 6 guys I named are the only ones I can say that I think are for sure better than Chris Paul. The one I'm going to get a lot of pushback on is Clyde, but like again, ask anybody that was alive in the 70s, and I would doubt that they would take Chris Paul over Frazier. And people are always going to say, "Oh, that's nostalgic bias." It's like, dude, I'm 26, like, and I'm telling you, I think Frazier's better than him for his time, like just based on how the game was played back then. I know it looks a little different with the way they dribbled and stuff, but Frazier had a handle, so you can't use that against him. So I think those other guys, like I think I'll watch Stockton. I'll rewatch Nash because I was pretty young, but I do remember Nash very well. But I don't think I'm going to come out saying like, "Oh, you're crazy if you think that Nash is better than Chris Paul." Like I don't think I'm going to say that. These guys are all. You're splitting hairs, and I think if we just acknowledge that it really comes down to preference and like what you value, the way you laid it out, these guys led their teams here. I agree with you. You're stating a fact. I'm not really going to push back on it. I don't care enough to defend Chris Paul. Like I'm not his lawyer or something, like it is what it is.
Nah, that's cool. I actually thought it was a very wise answer you gave. Go ahead, Relle. I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say, listen, it does my heart well, man, to hear you say that you actually went back and watched these players.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the 80s yet, but I've gotten to the early 70s, and I did all the 60s.
Hey, you started. That's all I care about. Like, cause we get a lot of we have a lot of younger folks who follow us and stuff, man, and we constantly try to tell them these type of things. Like, I know these young folks now, nothing is great past 2015 or whatever, right? Like the league just formed in 2015, so we try to get folks to understand, like me and King growing up, those guys you talk about, my parents used to talk about those guys, right? My uncles used to talk about those guys. So as a young guy, that made me want to go back and check these guys out, see what they were talking about, right? Like Kareem, I caught Kareem probably the very, very tail end of his career or whatever, right? So I'm like, I don't really know a lot about him, but I hear my pops talking about him. It's like, hold on, let me see what he's talking about with Kareem. You watching ESPN Classic games, you're going on YouTube, all this stuff. You're learning as you go. And you're like, okay, now I see what he's talking about. And so that way you are able to kind of shape your opinion a little bit more because you did see these guys play. Right?
Yeah.
I saw Jordan in his prime and all that stuff, right? I know how Jordan is. I can compare Jordan to LeBron or whatever, right? I seen the Kobe's and all that. Yeah. So like when you said that, bro, I was just like, man, it was great to hear that because we try to get folks to do that. Like if you really love the game that much, you would go back and do that. You know what I'm saying? And I love the game. So that's why I went back and did that type of stuff.
Right. And I think it was actually easier, weirdly, for our generations to go back. And I'll say this, even though these kids have more access, I think the way the game is played now is so drastically different than what we were used to. Whereas I was growing up in the 2000s and I went back and watched the 80s, it might look a little different, but you're still feeding bigs. There's still post players in the league. You're still not shooting an excess amount of threes. So it didn't look as crazy different. Whereas now when you go back even to watch a game from 15 years ago, you're like, the kids are like, dude, what the hell? Like these guys aren't shooting threes. It's not just like a bunch of space for them to work. Like they're missing twos and they all get very critical. I think the problem isn't just lack of kids going back and watching. It's lack of kids trying to understand the strategy of how basketball was played. I think that's the most important thing is, I would rather have Michael Jordan shooting a semi-contested 18-footer than letting him get 2 feet in the paint, letting him get to the free throw line, letting him put pressure on your defense. People say, oh, they're just letting him shoot. It's like Yeah, try pressing up against Mike and see what happens. Like, he's about to get stupid in the paint. Like,
we tell it all
what do
the
you
time.
think?
Like, it's the
Yeah.
same thing in the league this day and age. Like,
Yeah.
you don't press up on certain players because they're going to go past you. So they're giving them space.
Exactly. And back then, you know, I think it's funny because like now teams, as you see the way teams guard like pick and rolls, like the drop coverage defense, it's inviting floaters, it's inviting mid ranges. So teams are telling you they want you to take 2-point shots now. So back then, I mean, teams are going to let you shoot long jumpers, period. You know, I think that's just the difference in strategies. They're going to let you shoot long jumpers, but people get it twisted in saying that guys couldn't shoot. And there's a big difference, because if guys take a shot, even if it's semi-contested, and miss and it's a jumper and they don't work the ball around or work the ball inside, that would get you yelled at by a coach. It's just a different culture. You know, I was watching a playoff game last year, Sixers and Knicks. Dude, there was a 2-minute stretch where dudes jacked like 5 threes and 6 possessions. And I'm just like, even when I was a kid, like, this would be shameful if this was done in a playoff game. And like, that's why I don't like saying like, I think there are aspects of the game today that are better, but I'm not just going to say it's all just better basketball because there's more points and everybody can hit threes now. Like, to me, that's seeing guys just jack with no valuing of possessions in a playoff game. That's not better basketball to me. It's just different basketball, which Charles Barkley always says, and they rip him on social media for it, which is crazy to me. But again, like, it's a lack of understanding to me of how the game was played and what guys were great at then. So, you know, as you said, if we love the game, you try to find ways to promote the game in the different eras.
Like I say, I try to give people a different perspective on old school game, to try to give them numbers or whatever they would need this day and age. And I always tell people, like in Jordan's time, when Michael Jordan played the game, he played the game when teams were scoring 90 points a game. He was averaging over 30, around 35 or so points a game efficiently. And this wasn't when the guards were dominating the league. Like, he was shooting over 50% when centers and big men were dominating the league with space without the 3-point shot. Like, it was just easy for him to make a bucket. When you saw Mike shoot the ball, you thought it was going in. That's how good Michael Jordan was, because more than not, it is going in, because he was efficient as hell scoring the basketball. So people just don't understand, or they think, oh, it's a different league and all. I'm like, he played in a tougher NBA, actually, as far as the defense and all, and he had to do more things to be that dominant. He just was that good.
Yeah, I kind of blame it on today's NBA has covered and stuff like that, man. Why a lot of folks don't want to go back and do their own homework. They rather just, instead of me taking the time and do my own homework, I'm just gonna listen to this guy say it, and I'm just gonna take that at face value. You know, because like you said, man, growing up, we used to do we would do hoop goats videos on Playback, and we would show old type of games, and we would break it down and show the younger folks, like, look at the difference now compared to then. Like you said, packing the paint. Dudes, like the 3-point line, like, you had specialists. I tell folks all the time, you had specialists who shot threes. The center wasn't shooting three, the power forward wasn't shooting three. You had like 1, maybe 2 particular guys on the team. That's your job, to shoot threes. You had the Bill Carter. I mean, you had the Steve Kerrs and the Jed Bushlers of the world. Those were the guys who shoot threes. If anybody else shoot a threes, you're on the bench, right? Now, if the center don't shoot threes, he's on the bench. And so, like I said, it's different now, man. And so it just takes people, like I said, if you love the game, man, just take the time and learn the game, and you can. And that way, a lot of these debates and arguments we have online and stuff wouldn't happen if people actually just took the time and actually learn the game.
They think a lot of those guys, the older guys, are trash. The Charles Oakleys, you feel me, the Horace Grants and all. And we go back and watch those videos, and we're like, they knocking down 18-foot jumpers like it's nothing. And a lot of guys in the league these days cannot knock down. And
that's a skill, because I know a lot of them say that those guys didn't have skill. That is a skill for those guys to be able to shoot a consistent 18-foot jumper. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got anything else, King?
No, I know. I don't know if we got any questions, anything real quick. Anybody want to, before we end the show, because I know we're getting to that point.
No, it's been quiet today. That's a new. Yeah. We got Big J in the building, man. He said, hey, hello, fellas, from the least hateful person in the GloYard. I hear you, Big J. I hear you, man. I hear you. And then you got Queen. She says, welcome, Dime Dropper.
Thank you.
What up, babe?
And then we got Melissa. She says TGIF. Yes, ma'am. She's a Knicks fan, so shout out to Melissa. She's one of our members. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet, man. Dime, man, you got anything, man, you want to let the folks know that what you're doing, what you're into right now, what you got going on your channel?
Yeah, I mean, I do Locked On Clippers 5 days a week on the Locked On Network, but also on Dime Dropper. Any latest, offseason news with the Clippers or the Lakers, and trying to do some playoff content that I missed out on. Like I just didn't upload it during the playoffs, so I want to get some stuff out just to have record that I made content on the playoffs, because it's always nice to look back at your receipts. So I'm gonna be trying to release that in the coming weeks. But yeah, Dime Dropper channel on all platforms, and then Locked On Clippers as well.
Yeah, we do have his info down in the description box below too, y'all. Like I said, follow him on Dime Droppers, follow him on Locked On Clippers.
I know we gotta show love to Playback, but shout out to you, Dom, man. Like I said, you're my only I watch what's the guy's name, Rel? That usually hates on LeBron. I can't think of his name right now.
You talking about Tucker?
No. Can't think of his name right now. The Clippers got a black guy that usually talks about LeBron.
Dreamers Pro?
Yes, there you go. Dreamers Pro. I can't think of between you and Dreamers Pro. Okay. The only Clipper content I get out there since Billy Crystal. So I appreciate you guys for that, man. Your content is awesome between Locked On and like you say, Dime Dropper Pod.
Thanks,
so
man.
Definitely go check out his content. We have all the information in our description. And Ro, I know you probably want to show quick love to Playback before we get out of here.
Yeah, but Dom, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't follow you on Locked On Clippers, but I definitely follow your actual channel.
Thank you.
For the longest, I didn't know that you were part of Locked On Clippers. I know I heard you talk about it before, but really didn't click with me. I always thought you were just Dime Droppers, who I followed you on, and so I guess I do need to go back and follow Locked On Clippers too, man.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Yes, sir. Let's show some love real quick to Playback, yo.
Thank you to our friends over at Playback for this segment. Pause. If you're tired of the national media and the annoying ways they sometimes cover sports and other events, give the Glow Sun Production channel on Playback a try. We cover new and old school basketball, wrestling, and geek culture. And just recently, we've added boxing, mixed martial arts, anime, and even video gaming. So if you have time in your busy day, give our channel on Playback a look and check out some of our replays while you're at it. Another special shout out to our favorite at Playback. Back to the show.
All right, man. Listen, we definitely appreciate everybody, man, joining us here for another episode, a special episode of members only. We'd like to thank our members, man, because y'all help keep the lights on. We'd like to thank the people who subscribe to the channel, the people who follow the channel. We'd like to thank our Twitter fans out there, man. We definitely appreciate y'all. We appreciate the people from Locked On Clippers and from Dime Droppers channel. We definitely appreciate y'all too. Listen, if you're new to the channel, if you're into NBA content, we definitely have conversations like this all the time, y'all. So y'all can follow us here, right here on Cap and Crown, guys. Hit that like button. We definitely would appreciate that too, to help build that algorithm. And also too, if you want to become a member of our channel, simply hit that join button right there next to the subscribe button, as we have shows literally every Friday morning, y'all. Like I said, this was a special show for us today. We had Dime on with us, so we had to share with everybody. But we definitely have members only shows every Friday morning, y'all. And also too, man, if you into comic book talk, movies, and all them good things, television shows, follow me and Big J and others on Cuz We Geeks. We talk about all things in the geek culture involving movies and television. Spider-Man just dropped a teaser, man, for the brand new date movie about to come out, so we'll probably talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, follow us over there too, man. King, you got anything else, man, you want to say before we roll?
Keep sharing. Also follow me on We Talk Combats with Queen, BA, and Travis. We'll be talking about the SummerSlam PLE this weekend, so we'll be doing a review show probably late night on Sunday. Help us reach our goals over there. But other than that, we appreciate Dom for being a guest. We'll be back on Monday, man. Let's go.
Yes, sir, guys. We'll be back here on Monday. Subscribe to the channel, hit the likes, and we'll be back here.
No cap.
Cap and Crown.